No, I've asked him to clarify that bit so that...
You don't want me to speak? Honorable Speaker, I don't know what other evidence the majority leader would want tabled of disrespect of this House other than the letter that has been brought to you while you are seated in the chair. And the fact that he admits that we have engaged on this issue repeatedly, it is indicative of a tradition within the Kenya Kwanza government that they disrespect this House all the time. We have dealt with this issue more than enough times, Honorable Speaker, and the majority leader cannot gag me. You cannot gag me, Honorable Cheruyot. The disrespect is in that letter that has been brought this morning. We woke up here to do this job. Where is Mbadi? You can't defend Mbadi.
Have your seat, Senator Sifuna. Senator Enoch.
Mr. Speaker, there are things you are saying that are difficult to implement. When you say people should not be emotional about this matter, it's difficult not to be emotional about what we have just witnessed. It is difficult, Mr. Speaker, to deal with a fact which is on record that a cabinet secretary expected to appear before a House of Parliament is writing to the Speaker while the session is on to say he cannot appear. And the reason given is in State House. Mr. Speaker, I will say two things and try to be not too emotional about it. One, Article 132 of the Constitution, functions of the President. The President is accountable to Parliament. The President himself to Parliament. Article 153 of the Constitution. The Cabinet is accountable to Parliament. Mr. Speaker, those two articles read together place the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya at such a position that when you are required to appear before either a committee of Parliament or a plenary sitting of Parliament, then everything else must stop. Mr. Speaker, this is just plain reading of the law. And you know, when now I see my brother, my very good friend, the Senator of Kericho, who is also the majority leader, getting emotional and saying that Senator Sifuna should be taught a lesson. Mr. Speaker, I'm wondering, between Senator Sifuna and the CS for Treasury, who needs to be taught certain lessons? Mr. Speaker, just allow me to finish. Mr. Speaker, this is a serious matter. In fact, Mr. Speaker, this is so serious. And you know what? Let us test our own powers and privileges as Parliament. Let us put that to test. Mr. Speaker, you can order the Sergeant at Arms or the Inspector General of Police to present the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury here today, this morning. Mr. Speaker, you know, we cannot say that Parliament has been disregarded, and every time that we are disregarded, then we permit those people that disregard the Senate to continue doing their things and doing bad manners. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, Senator Cheruyot, you should not feel bad when Senator Sifuna says that the CS Treasury is learning bad manners.
Point of order, just a minute.
Oh, Savannah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at the sitting of the Senate Business Committee yesterday.
What is your point of order regarding what is...
no, I thought you were giving me an opportunity.
No.
You are... Sorry. I thought you had concluded.
You are very experienced member.
I am very sorry.
When you raise a point of order, you are standing on a point of order.
Speaker, I thought you had
concluded.
What is your point of order? I thought you... Then I'll have my time if
Senator Wambua, conclude.
I'm able to catch your eye.
In less than
Mr.
a
Speaker,
minute.
you know, we defer to Senator Halwale, honestly. Surely, I was on my feet. And you're a leader in this house. Mr. Speaker, we are saying you should actually order Masengeli to bring the Treasury CS here in this house. Mr. Speaker. Lastly, I was saying, Mr. Speaker, that, you know, when Senator Sifuna says that the CS Treasury is learning bad manners and bad behavior from the Kenya Kwanza administration, that is a statement of fact. That this administration is very ill-mannered. That's what it is. This administration has refused many, many times to appear before this Senate. And we are saying the CS Treasury should not go and, when he was donated by ODM to go and join the government, Mr. Speaker, they send him there to go and...
Unnecessary anxiety. So
Mr. Speaker, I'm just finishing.
we
If you
just,
bear with me 1
there's a
minute.
point of order
Bear with
from
me 1
the-
minute, Mr. Speaker. Just bear with me 1 minute. These
us-
points of order, Mr. Speaker, they
Let us
don't
listen
help.
to the point of
But
order.
what point of order on what now? What is out of order now?
Yes, majority.
Mr. Speaker, just allow me to finish. Just allow me to finish, Mr. Speaker. I have 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Yes, majority leader.
You know, I was willing to allow these cheap shots to pass. But you have heard Senator Wambua repeatedly refer to me in his statement saying that I'm defending the indefensible. Yet, I pointed to Senator Sifuna that what better evidence do you need that Kenya Kwanza cabinet ministers respect this house, other than the fact that while he was making his complaint, there was a cabinet minister seated here. Therefore, you cannot generalize, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you can protect me from the hecklers, I can make my point, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator.
But what you are doing is heckling. What better way? Mr. Speaker, it is not a statement of fact what Senator Wambua and Senator Edwin Sifuna are stating, that Kenya Kwanza ministers do not honor summons to this house. I have demonstrated that there is one in the house this morning, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if one minister fails to appear, Mr. Speaker, if one minister fails to appear, is it a statement of fact, as Senator Wambua is stating, that Kenya Kwanza ministers do not honor summons to this house? I think this minister is... Almost every cabinet minister has come to this house more than 100 times, Mr. Speaker. You know, half the time, first of all, the minority side began by boycotting this exercise. They never used to appear. Probably that's why they don't know that ministers have been coming to this house.
Senator, let us make progress now. And my 15 minutes are over. Can you conclude in 30 seconds? You are 30 seconds, Senator Wambua.
Mr. Speaker, I was saying, and I conclude, that when the CS Treasury was donated by ODM to Kenya Kwanza, I listened to the Azimio leader saying that they have been donated to go and teach those people how to do things. They are not supposed to go there and learn bad manners. They are supposed to go there and teach good manners, Mr. Speaker. So it should be produced here in this house. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Joyce Korir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also want to raise...
All that, majority leader and Senator Sifuna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to also register my dissatisfaction in terms of the response by the CS, because, Honorable Speaker, the reason why we came this morning was because of the questions that we had, which are affecting the members of the public, which we were expecting the minister to respond to this morning. Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether we have the prescribed timeline when the minister is supposed to respond, whether he is appearing or not, because it's so shocking that a letter is just being brought to the House during the time when the motions or when the questions are supposed to be responded to, Honorable Speaker. So it's really putting this House in a very awkward position, and I want to say that we need to set as a House. I don't know whether it exists, the time frame that they are supposed to respond. It's really so hurting. We came this morning expecting to get the answers. The very many questions that we have are being waited by the Kenyans, And I want to say I am one of the persons who is dissatisfied with that letter that has been written by the CS this morning. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Fatuma Nduro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to join my colleagues in contributing to this matter. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to say much because much has been said, but this matter is not about a political party. It's about an individual member of cabinet who should take up their responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, I really feel frustrated because there is nothing happening in this house as far as summons or invitation of this house is concerned. Mr. Speaker, we either pack and go home or we take our matter seriously because things are not actually going through the right direction. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to bring a statement on the floor of this house. We have a governor officiolo who has refused to appear before all the committees of the house. He has even taken a committee of the house to court, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have our mortuary that is not working for the last 1 year. And I brought a statement to the floor of this house earlier this year, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we should put our acts together. Otherwise, we have no business sitting in this house. And this matter must be taken seriously, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Senator Modigi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Nataka kukosoa seneta wa Nairobi ambaye ni rafiki wangu. Mr. Mbandi sio wa Kenya Kwanza, ni sahihi tuko kwa serikali ya muungano. Kwa hiyo kupigia sisi kelele kusema yeye ni wa Kenya Kwanza, hiyo ni makosa kubwa sana. Ya pili, rafiki wangu, nataka nikwambie wakati ulikuwa apitisha cabinet secretary wao kuingia hapa, wewe ulikuwa umetimua, ulikuwa nje, haukuwa unatuunga mkono. Ya mwisho ningetaka kusema Mheshimiwa Mbandi amefanya makosa kukuja hapa, angekuja tumuulize maswali kwa sababu unajua sisi kuko na ile pesa ambayo tunalipia wafanyikazi wetu, pesa ya usuru anja tulipa kwa kipindi ya miezi 3. County ya Embu saa hii wafanyikazi wote county ya Embu hakuna pesa ametuma hapo. Kwa hivyo angekuja hapo, hiyo ni ile swali tungeuliza. Na sio county ya Embu peke yake, ni county ya 47. Na wakati tulikuwa naendelea alikuwa anasema hakuna pesa, saa hii angekuja tumuulize swali. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono Senator Mbandi aweze kuwa summoned akuja hapa ajibu maswali yake. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Muma Muyaka Kadri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak. I want to add my voice that it is not acceptable that the CS Treasury can elect to send a letter this morning. The questions we are asking the CS are questions that have been moved for over 6 months. We asked CS Ndongo these questions and he kept ducking them. And now the CS Mbadi takes them. We expect him to come here and resolve these things. Why do we have this session if asking questions should take a year to answer? All of you are celebrating this session, indicating that it will be useful. Why do we have it when it takes a year for a CS to actually respond? In this case, 2 CSs running away from responsibility. I think we need to take this seriously, and it is bad manners. You can call it whatever government you want to call it. It's your government. It is bad manners.
Last but not the least, Senator Murango, James.
Asante sana Mstahiki Speaker kwa kunipa nafasi kuchangia hili jambo. Ya kwanza niseme ya kwamba tunapokuja hapa, wakati tunakuja kukutana na mawaziri, tunakuanga na vitanda za kulala, tunakuanga na mahali ya kwenda. Hatukuangi tumekaa tu bila kazi ya kufanya. Wakati tumekuja hapa kufanya hilo jambo, na ukumbuke Mstahiki Speaker kwamba Jumatano zote hakuna kamati ambayo inakaa kukandili ama kuangalia jambo lingine lolote, kwa sababu tumetenga wakati muhimu kuja kujadili maneno kama haya. Wakati waziri ameitwa anakosa kuja, tunaweza mtetea, lakini hiyo si haki kwetu na si vizuri kwetu. Kama Senator Mondega anavyoongea, Kama anajua pesa ya Embu imechelewa kwa muda ya miezi 2-3, angejua leo kama yeye mwenyewe anajali masirai ya watu wa Embu, sio kutetea mwenye hakuja kujibu maswali. Hiyo ni kusema ya kwamba hata yanaridhika na hali ilivyo katika kaunti zetu zote 47. Kwa hivyo ningesema ya kwamba sisi pia tusiende chini kwamba sisi tutakuwa tu tunakaa chini kama watu hawana kazi. Tukiita mtu na aji, tuwe na sheria ambayo itakuwa inamfanya awajibike kwa maneno ambayo amefanya. Kwa muda kumekuwa na madharau ya mbunge ya seneti na wale ambao wameteuliwa kutoka bunge la kitaifa. Na mimi nadhani ya kwamba huo ukosefu wa adabu hautachukuliwa kupelekwa katika na mawaziri kuja kutudharau wakati tunaita kuja katika nyumba ya seneti. Niyo tu, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Murango and all those who have expressed their dissatisfaction. From where you sit. No, the time is over, the 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Onda, Senator Kavindu, onda. Senator Kavindu. I was saying that it is not in Onda from where I sit to receive a letter and actually communicated that all the CSCs are indicated. None of them had expressed that they will not come to this session this morning. But it's not in order to just receive a communication from the CS when the session is on. And therefore, senators, we cannot be lamenting every day in, day out. I would like to have a bipartisan manner in this issue so that both sides can revoke standing on the 51D, which says that the Senate may, where a cabinet secretary fails without reasonable cause to appear and respond to questions on this part, move a motion to censure the cabinet secretary. So we should not be just weeping, crying, and we have our explicit authority under 51D. Therefore, I think we should take that direction. In the last session also, of all the cabinet secretaries, let me also say that it's only one cabinet secretary who has let this house down. I want to disagree with those who said cabinet secretaries don't appear. But the CS Treasury, even last session, did not appear to answer questions. Therefore, this time around, I really request that both sides, you sit and agree on the way forward on this matter. This house belongs to all of us, not to one side of the divide. Therefore, on these things, such matters, let us approach these matters in a bipartisan way so that we can move our house forward. We have no other Senate in this republic. We are the elected 67 senators who are in this house. So if we fail, all of us will fail. If we succeed, all of us will have succeeded. Therefore, now I request the Senator at Arms to bring in the CS for labor and social protection. I want to welcome you, the CS for Labor and Social Protection. So that you can answer these three questions. One from the Senator for Machakos County. The other two, the members who asked the other question is not around, but I can see is around. So we start with your question, Senator Kavindu. So waziri, karibu sana katika Senate. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to be able to ask my question. Let me first of all start by congratulating the CS for Labor for appearing here. And severally, he has appeared before the committees. But before I ask my question, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the CS Treasury has done very wrong because there is no money in the counties. We have not paid our offices in the counties for the last 3 months because of exchequer.
Senator Kavindu.
Yeah, I'm coming to my question, Mr. Speaker, but I needed to say that.
Yes, Alfred Mutua is not the shares for Treasury.
I know
Just
that.
asking his question.
I was only commenting on what we were commenting before. I'm done. Now I'll ask my question, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Honorable CS, this concerns, my question is, could the ministry consider collaborating with the Sifuna? Well, let me ask my question, please, don't interrupt me. Could the minister consider collaborating with the consortium of the 7th August 1998 victims to identify and enroll surviving Kenyan victims of the 1998 bombing of the United States of America Embassy in Nairobi into the social assistance program currently being implemented in the ministry and by the ministry?
Thank you. CS.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker, sir, honorable members. I'm very happy to be here and thank you for the question. Before I start, I just want to say that I'm accompanied by my two principal secretaries, PS Mwadime of Labor and PS Motari of Social Protection, and Mr. Kases, Senior Deputy Labor Commissioner, and many other CEOs and MDs, NEA and others. We've come, the whole team. To get to the question, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say the following. Yes, we are considering, and this is something that we're working on, the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection met with the officials of the victims Tumaini 1998 on 18th of October 2023. And during that meeting, it was noted that there is need for the leadership of Tumaini 1998 bomb blast victims to provide a list of victims stating clearly their names, ID numbers, contacts, and their unique needs so as to support them. Because we needed to identify those who are genuine 1998 bombing victims. We also wanted to ensure that the process and eligibility criteria for selection into the Inua Jamii program, which requires certain exemptions to this group, may be to enable them to be targeted and enrolled into the program. And also considering that children of the affected bombing victims, the Presidential Secondary School Bursary program. Similarly, in addition to this, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities held a meeting with the representatives of the survivors on Friday, 27th October 2023. In the meeting, the team was taken through a detailed presentation of the Council's mandate and potential areas where the victims can be supported, including scholarships for disabled children, recommendations for tax waivers for persons living with disabilities, and provision of assistive devices, among others. It is noteworthy to mention that no list of victims, Mr. Speaker, has been availed to my ministry to confirm whether they meet the eligibility criteria for enrollment into the Inua Jamii program. I don't know where the failing is, but I think it's a very good question by Senator Kavindu, and I want to congratulate her for her care about this issue, because when I was the Minister for Foreign Affairs, we were in a session where she brought up the same a similar question concerning these victims. But let me repeat that so far we have not received any information, eligibility criteria for enrollment to the Inua Jamii program with a list of victims that we can onboard. Mr. Speaker, the possibility of including the survivors into the social assistance program is very high. The State Department for Social Protection and Senior Citizens Affairs within the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection implements 3 social assistance programs. One is the Inua Jamii program, which targets older citizens aged over 70 years and above, poor households taking care of persons with severe disability, and orphans and vulnerable children. When you look at the older persons, there is an older persons cash transfer. And as you know, our president directed that before his salary and the salary of ministers and public servants is paid, that the money is paid to our Inua Jamii recipients. One must be above 70 years old and a holder of a Kenyan national ID to qualify for the older person's cash transfer, and should have a caregiver with a valid Kenyan national identification card, and must not be in any government pension to avoid double dipping. Now, when it comes to orphans and vulnerable children cash transfer program, poor Kenyan households with any one or more of the older persons or of children, vulnerable orphans and vulnerable children aged between 0 and 17 years, or basically 0.1 and 17 years, is a permanent member. A household with a caregiver is chronically ill and unable to perform his or her duties, and lastly, a household not benefiting from similar social assistance programs. C, for those with people with severe disability cash transfer program, they are meant for a poor household with a person with severe disability who requires 24-hour care, a household not enrolled in a similar program, and a beneficiary who is a Kenyan citizen. In order for the victims, and I think Madam Kavindu Senator will agree with me, for the victims of the 1998 National United States Embassy bombing survivors to be included, they should meet the criteria, which is we should meet the criteria that has been given above, presented above. I would also like to point out, Mr. Speaker, that in the case, because this case happened in, it's been over 18 years now since the bomb blast happened, and if there are children who are affected or were left behind at that time, they are now over 18. Therefore, they do not qualify at this particular time for any of the programs because they are above the limit of age given by the law. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kavidu, do you have any supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I just want to follow up from where he stopped by saying 0 to 17 years, and most of the victims are above those years. Now, is it their fault that they did not get the care that they needed until they are above the years? And what can be done for them to be compensated? Can they also, I'll follow up with the number, as you have said, and the ID numbers and the clarification. I'll follow up with the people concerned, and I'll make sure that they'll come back to you. But even as we do that, can they also be registered in the cash transfers, especially the PWDs who are completely unable to do anything for themselves? Majority of them are blind, totally blind. Those should be included in the cash transfers, even if they are not at the age of 70. And the children also, the ministry should consider. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I want to give an emphatic yes. It doesn't matter whether you got injured during the 88 bomb blast, or you injured afterwards. If you are severely disabled in our country, you deserve to be in this program. It is not as comprehensive as it should be, and I'll work on it. On the second point, I really agree with you that we need to get these teams together, and I'm directing my principal secretary not to wait, but to organize a meeting to meet with the leadership so that we can also be proactive and get the lists, and working closely with you to enable this to be done. And whether you're below 70, above 70, and you're disabled, you qualify automatically, and there's a criteria of how you are tested at the hospital, and you qualify. I wanted to add something that may be of interest to the House, and that is that currently, most members, you are aware, people go in the morning to pick up their monies from banks or agents. And they wake up in the morning, get a boda, get a car, they go a long distance, and they line up the whole day waiting to receive their monies, which is not fair. And His Excellency the President has been very clear about providing justice. You don't have somebody spending 500 shillings to come somewhere, spend another 200 to eat, and then you are giving them 2,000. Already the money is gone. So we are rolling out that want to roll out a program so that by the 1st of December of this year, we are going to ensure that now all the monies will be transferred to the phones or designated M-Pesa or other accounts directly of the recipients. So they don't have to leave the comfort of their homes, spend their money to go and wait for a whole day to receive the monies. We have to be a caring people, and we are going to ensure that that is implemented. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Let us have a few other supplementary questions, but just only one question. Senator Mandago, Jackson.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I have one supplementary question to the Cabinet Secretary. That Honourable Speaker, during the 1998 bomb blast, the allegation that there are a number of staff who are working for Cooperative Bank who are allegedly illegally dismissed from work following the injuries they sustained from the bomb blast. Is the Ministry aware, and what have they done about it, Honourable Speaker, on that matter? And Honourable Speaker, just on what the CS has just commented on the transfer of funds, Honourable Speaker, I would like the Cabinet Secretary to let us know why is the Ministry using banks, M-Pesa and others, and not Postal Corporation, a government entity that under the law and under their mandate, it is their responsibility to handle digital payments for government.
Yes, Waziri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. It's the issue of the staff working with a cooperative bank that were let go or working in that building. We are not aware. I've just done a bit of consultation. Maybe if they wrote to us, the letter got lost somewhere. It's not in my office. I would request, Mr. Speaker, sir, through you, the Honorable Senator, we can have a conversation and we can see whether they are organized, and they can file a complaint with us, and we'll follow up to make sure that they get their rights. They are under the law, because people shouldn't just be dismissed and then they are not compensated properly. On the second question about Postal Corporation, we carry tender processes whereby banks were onboarded to be able to transfer the monies, and the contracts are coming to an end, and so Postal Corporation is welcome to participate in the next round, even as we move into a digital fora using the technological companies rather than just the banks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kadri Muma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and welcome, CS. My question is on the system that the Ministry has put in place to ensure equitable access to social protection. Mr. CS, I would want to know, given that the Constitution requires that all resource in Kenya is equitably accessed by those who need, what mechanism do you have in place to ensure that, one, the correct people are the ones receiving social protection in this country, two, that where there might be deficiencies in the resource, that we can still confirm that it is equitably distributed among those who need to access it. Where can we get that register as members of parliament who carry out oversight to ensure that truly those who need to access social protection are the ones accessing social protection? I would want to know and access that resource.
Thank you, Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much. In terms of equitable access to social protection, there's a system that has been working, and we can always improve on it. We go to the ground using the government system, and we're able to identify those who deserve to be in the system in terms of age, in terms of disability, very, very poor families, vulnerable families, and we are able to put them in the list, and they go through the criteria and they are onboarded. When I served as the governor of Machakos, the issue of older citizens saying that they have never received their monies kept on coming all the time. So it's an ongoing system of onboarding. In terms of being able to provide the list to you, this House and the Parliament of Kenya passed a law on data protection that does not allow us to provide private information of people's names and where they are to you. However, as a member of Parliament and member of Senate, if you have identified individuals in your county that you believe have been left out, have not been covered, please send me that list, and we'll double check to see whether they are being covered, and we'll ensure that if they need to be covered, we'll make sure that they are covered, so that we can't assume that we know everything on the ground. Number two, we also have cases that we're dealing with, and this is whereby some of our older citizens pass on to glory, and they're no longer here, and maybe their caregivers are still receiving some of the monies that they were receiving. So we are working on streamlining the system to ensure that that money is stopped so it can go to others deserving. And also, we'll need your help if you identify somebody has passed away and that family tells you, or you know that the caregiver still received that money, so that we can be able to work together as one country, supporting each other as members of government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Minority Leader, Senator Mazayo.
Asante mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, nataka kumuuliza waziri kwamba je, waziri anaelewa ya kwamba wale wote ambao walipatikana wamekuwa na majeraha, waliumia wakati wa ile kitendo kilichofanywa na waliofanya kile kitendo pale katika nyumba ya ubalozi ya Amerika tarehe hii, walioumia pale ndani wakiwa wa Kenya na wale wananchi wa Kiamerika. Je, waziri ana habari ya kwamba wale waliokuwa ni wa Amerika wote waliweza kulipwa fidia zao za kuumia na majeraha na wakapelekwa hospitali na wakaangaliwa vizuri sana na serikali ya Amerika? Kwanza
Nitamwomba Seneta Kavindu asikize ili swali vizuri kutoka kwa kiongozi walio wachache. Hilo itakuwa kwa manufaa kwako sana.
Sija kupata bwana Spika.
Endelea.
Asante. Bwana Spika, vile vile nataka kuuliza, je, ni juhudi gani ambao yeye kama waziri na wizara yake ikiwa husika, ni juhudi gani zinafanywa na serikali? Kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa Amerika na hili jambo nililifuata sana, lakini utaona ya kwamba zile pesa bado hazijapatikana za kuweza kulipa wale wa Kenya. Ni juhudi gani wizara yake inafanya kufikia hivi sasa kuona ya kwamba zile fidia za zile pesa zilizotolewa, manake Amerika wametoa pesa, lakini sasa wa Kenya mpaka hivi sasa bado hizo pesa hazijawafikia? Ni juhudi gani wizara yake inafanya kuona ya kwamba zile pesa zilizotolewa